I leave all of you to remember what you did here today. You are stronger together than apart. Never.
All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so happy. Thank you so much, FBI, sheriffs, various police departments in Snohomish County who are aware of the situation. That unfortunately there's going to be an exodus at the North Everett Precinct, and that unfortunately the North Everett Precinct stopped being a police precinct and became an aggravated criminal conspiracy in March of 2023 and became a domestic terrorist organization in August of 2024. And now, as of 2025, in less than 5 weeks, there will be a, quote, exodus at the North Everett Precinct. So it is 3:02 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. This is a consensual recording with Mystic Gwen pursuant to the instructions of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I'm not employed by the FBI. I am an authorized to state informant for the FBI, one of many. There are over 20 plus individuals that will be testifying against this domestic terrorist organization. Some of them are, unfortunately, members of the domestic terrorist organization who will be getting a plea deal and immunity because of the fact that they, like me, are at risk of severe retaliation, like I've had to endure, by the North Everett Precinct of Fraudsters, which the FBI renamed to the North Everett Precinct of Stalkers last month. Now, there's quite a few things that we're going to go over in this video. But since I've had to go over them, like, I don't know, over 80 times or something like that, how many live streams have they criminally and illegally shut off since February 11th? I lost count once it got over 50. Anyway, we're going to begin by going over the February 13th, 3 a.m. report / addendum.
For as excellent as the action in the Curse of Capistrano is, it's the romance between Zorro and his love.
Which, like all of the legal documents, should be visible for all of you at facebook.com/Mystic Gwen Lives Only You. But UNIT207's been using their law enforcement portal for a lot of felonies, including felonies attached to my Facebook. So whether or not it's actually visible to you, I can't tell you, because they've been using their fraudulent North Everett Precinct Facebook accounts, which I think this is a good time to note that some of the officers have been using since 2017 to terrorize me. If you missed it, part of the reason the FBI has full jurisdictional authority is because in 2017, there was a series of crimes that were perpetrated against me and threatened, which were reported to the FBI, as the threats came from police officers at the North Everett Precinct, the multiple times convicted stalker and abuser, some friends / drug users of the multiple times convicted stalker and abuser, DCYF employees, and a lawyer of mine that I used to have a sexual relationship with, who I was friends with before he was ever my lawyer, and had a relationship with before he was ever my lawyer.
Perhaps we might give our courtship another chance.
And then the domestic terrorist organization upstairs, in an attempt to create that non-existent federal defense, you know, the one that was reported about in the August 14th tort claim, where all the remaining felonies that they were hoping to perpetrate were also recorded.
Who is this mystery woman?
Well, according to the FBI, every one of those named individuals that were reported 8 years ago for the very crimes your domestic terrorist organization perpetrated. Well, get this. All of them except for one individual is going to prison with you guys. They're all part of it. It's part of the reason why the FBI has full jurisdictional authority. Now, again, we're going to go over that February 13th report first. And for that, I am going to play a preceding live stream. One that they criminally and illegally shut off on the 13th. This is from the live stream on my channel that is titled 2-13 4 something a.m. in the morning. I'm going to the YouTube channel right now. I'm still recording offline on the laptop where they didn't disengage and disable the camera. Indigo's laptop. Remember, they also broke Garrett's brand new laptop yesterday. One of thousands of dollars of technological devices they've criminally and illegally broken. Most notably, the multiple things that they broke in February of 2024. Again, never part of any sort of legitimate operation. This is a domestic terrorist organization. It's an aggravated criminal conspiracy and a criminal enterprise. It's never been a legit operation since its inception. It's been a criminal enterprise, an aggravated criminal conspiracy. And again, in August, because of more than 5 felonies that y'all have perpetrated, you became a domestic terrorist organization. So this is from the live stream 2-13, 4:32 a.m. I'm going to click on it, and then I've got to fast forward about 2 hours in, and you will hear this is the addendum from February 13th at 3 a.m. The FBI feels that this one is very important. So I'm fast forwarding an hour and 57 minutes into that live stream. And here you go. Pay attention.
And here we go. To Snohomish County Superior Court, North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, Snohomish County Prosecutors, et al. In forwarded to FBI. From Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen, subject supplemental information regarding further criminal activities, escalation of threats, evidence tampering, continued child abuse, and incurred penalties, February 10th to February 13th, 2025. Immediate action required. Criminal enterprise in domestic terrorist organization. No immunity for unlawful directives. This document serves as the 4th addendum to the formal judicial notice filed on February 4th, 2025 at 10:08 a.m. PST and previously supplemented. It provides further critical updates regarding the relentless and escalating criminal conspiracy orchestrated by individuals associated with the North Everett Precinct, UNIT207 at 2120 Highland Ave, Everett, Washington, and their expanding network of co-conspirators. This addendum also functions as a formal police report detailing new criminal acts perpetrated between February 10th and February 13th, 2025. 1. Incorporation of prior filings by reference. All facts, invoices, statements, and incorporated documents referenced in the original formal judicial notice of February 4th, 2025, and all subsequent addendums February 6th, February 7th, and February 8th, 2025, and all police reports filed by Lynette Renee Hansen from June 2024 to the present date, and any future date are hereby incorporated by reference as if fully set forth herein. This explicitly includes, but is not limited to, Declaration of Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen, dated December 14th, 2024, revised 8:07 p.m. PST due to unlawful tampering. Addendum to Declaration dated December 19th, 2024. Addendum and Amendment to Declaration dated December 29th, 2024. Tort claim filed August 14th, 2024, case number 10-500-5934, served upon the North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County Prosecutors, et al. All police reports filed since June 2024 by me, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. 2. Supplemental information, criminal acts from February 10th to February 13th, 2025. The following criminal acts have been perpetrated by UNIT207 and their co-conspirators, further demonstrating the ongoing and escalating nature of this criminal enterprise. February 10th, 2025, just before noon, a male individual from UNIT207 briefly appeared to deliver written materials. The content and purpose of these materials are currently unknown, but are considered suspect in the context of ongoing harassment and conspiracy. February 10th, 2025, 2 p.m. PST, the North Everett Precinct predictably and unlawfully rejected the police report/addendum filed on February 8th. This blatant act of obstruction of justice is consistent with their ongoing efforts to shield themselves and their co-conspirators from accountability. Occupants of Unit 207 were overheard discussing their intent to feign cessation of stalking while continuing these criminal activities. They also discussed plans to dispatch multiple individuals to my residence before February 23rd under the false pretense that my participation is required for some unspecified purpose. February 10th, 2025, 12 a.m. and 8:37 a.m. PST. YouTube live streams initiated by me were criminally and illegally terminated. These actions are consistent with evidence tampering, witness intimidation, and obstruction of justice. February 11th, 2025, 8 a.m. to 5:16 p.m. PST. Unit 207 engaged in a cybercrime spree, illegally shutting off an astounding 23 live streams. February 11th, 2025, 5:20 p.m. PST. A male individual from the upstairs unit known to be actively stalking me with neighbors Andy and Kelly, the DCYF employee and brother of an EPD officer who left harassing notes in the summer of 2023, entered the balcony door of Unit 207. This further illustrates the coordinated stalking and harassment efforts involving multiple individuals and potentially implicating members of law enforcement and DCYF. That shouldn't say potentially. That should say, and it implicates. Everything that is written here, there is evidence of beyond a reasonable doubt, and the FBI has confirmed that damn near every day that I've been illegally detained. Moving on. February 13th, 2025, 1:55 a.m. PST. During a live stream, Unit 207 illegally terminated the broadcast and, in a significant escalation of evidence tampering, erased a 20-plus hour recording stored offline. This act was concurrent with the criminal and illegal erasure of over 4 hours of the YouTube live stream from the previous night. Prior to the termination, I had explicitly noted in the live stream description a threat from the female occupant upstairs to terminate the broadcast while I slept, which she subsequently carried out. This erasure is believed to be for the same reason speculated in the February 8th addendum: obstruction of justice, intimidation of a federal witness, in tampering with evidence of their ongoing criminal conspiracy. Ongoing cybercrimes and live stream interference, February 12th to the 13th. February 13th, 1:55 a.m. PST. Live termination, as noted above. February 12th, 9:11 p.m. PST. Female felons in upstairs unit explicitly planned to terminate the live stream while I slept. This threat was typed into the live stream description in an attempt to preemptively deter their criminal actions and document their intent. February 12th, 8:57 p.m. PST. Female felons engaged in further cyber tampering, illegally cutting and tampering with the live stream. February 12th, 8:02 p.m. Live stream terminated from 7:56 p.m. to 8:02 p.m. February 12th, 7:51 p.m. Update. Unit 207 activity since noon indicates female felons are anticipating imprisonment but express high expectation for next week and further crimes, believing, quote, court, quote, will favor them. They also suggest co-conspirators are, quote, even more excited for next week. February 12th, 9:02 a.m. PST. Unit 207 terminated a prior live stream. February 12th, 6:43 a.m. to 7:43 a.m. PST. Unit 207 engaged in extensive planning out and conspiratorial. There we go. Unit 207 engaged in extensive planning and conspiratorial discussions involving both male and female occupants, continuing as of 7:44 a.m. PST. February 12th to February 13th at 3 a.m. Unit 207 has criminally and illegally tampered with, obstructed, and committed cybercrimes against at least 9 live streams. 3. This is not an operation. This is a criminal enterprise and domestic terrorist organization. It is important to state unequivocally that the actions documented herein and in all prior filings are not part of any legitimate law enforcement operation, nor are they justifiable under any legal pretext. This is an aggravated criminal conspiracy, a criminal enterprise, and constitutes the actions of a domestic terrorist organization. The perpetrators, including officers of the North Everett Precinct, individuals in Unit 207, and their co-conspirators, are engaged in a systematic and sustained campaign of felony stalking and harassment, constant surveillance, intimidation tactics, and deliberate disruption of my peace and safety. Cybercrimes and evidence tampering, illegal termination of live streams, erasure of recordings, and hacking attempts to obstruct justice and conceal their criminal activities. Obstruction of justice, rejection of legitimate police reports, fraudulent court maneuvers, and concerted efforts to impede any investigation into their crimes. Child abuse and exploitation, the continued and deliberate exploitation of my disabled sons to perpetrate felonies and further this criminal conspiracy. Illegal detainment and kidnapping, ongoing illegal detainment within my own home, and prior actionable kidnappings of my disabled sons. Civil rights violations and ADA violations, systematic deprivation of my civil rights and targeted discrimination based on disability. Financial fraud and extortion, attempts to extort and defraud me through various illegal means. 4, no immunity for unlawful directives. Let it be explicitly stated.
Let it be explicitly
Following
stated.
unlawful directives from superiors or co-conspirators provides absolutely no immunity for these criminal acts. Every individual involved, regardless of their position or perceived authority, is personally and criminally liable for their participation in this conspiracy. The willingness to obstruct justice, tamper with evidence, and intimidate a federal witness only deepens their culpability and ensures the maximum penalties under the law.
Right? Maximum
5,
penalties.
Echoes of January 2024 pattern of criminality confirmed. It is critical to note that this pattern of criminal behavior is not new. In January 2024, individuals from Unit 207, including the same 2 males who initiated my illegal detainment on August 6, 2024, were actively engaged in indoctrinating and exploiting disabled minors, directing my multiple times convicted stalker and abuser to indoctrinate our disabled sons based on their disabilities and to plan their kidnapping until August 17, 2024. Destruction of personal property, deliberately destroying my brand new laptops in January 2024. Theft, stealing money from each and every delivery I received for all of my deliveries from September 2023 to August 2024. These actions, like the ongoing crimes, were never part of any legitimate legal operation. They are, and always have been, components of a premeditated and aggravated criminal conspiracy targeting me and my children. The abuse of disabled minors for 13 months, their exploitation to perpetrate felonies, kidnapping, ADA violations, stalking, harassment, and all other documented crimes are not and cannot be construed as any form of legitimate operation. They are the hallmarks of a criminal enterprise, operating with impunity and a complete disregard for the law. 6, financial penalties updated. The following financial penalties previously invoiced and contractually agreed upon are reiterated and updated to reflect the additional criminal acts documented in this addendum. $100,000 per day for each day of my ongoing illegal detention, now totaling over 187 days. $10 million for any attempted illegal entry into my residence, increased to $25 million if I am asleep at the time. This penalty applies to the breaking and entering on January 29th. $10 million for the use of my sons and or for coercing them to commit any illegal acts, including the January 29th breaking and entering. Doubling of all penalties if fraudulent court orders are used in conjunction with any illegal act. Quadrupling of these fees for any of the above criminal acts if they are perpetrated within 7 days of a rejected police report regarding said acts. 10 million for the rejection of legitimate police reports constituting obstruction of justice. This applies to all reports rejected to date, including the rejection of the February 8th report. 10 million for each instance of illegally terminating a YouTube live stream. This applies to all instances to date, including the numerous terminations between February 10th and February 13th. 10 million for each and every instance of stalking. 10 million for each and every instance of harassment. 10 million for each and every instance of ADA violations. 10 million for each and every instance of civil rights violations. Additional penalties incurred February 10th to February 13th, 2025. Obstruction of justice, rejection of 2-8 report, 40 million, quadrupled penalty. Live stream terminations February 10th to the 13th, at least 30 terminations times 10 million equals 300 million. Ongoing stalking, harassment, and cybercrimes, penalties continue to occur daily and per incident. The criminal actions documented in this fourth addendum, alongside those previously reported and consistently rejected by the North Everett Precinct, further and exponentially increase the financial liability of these conspirators. 7. Conclusion. This fourth addendum provides further damning and irrefutable evidence that the North Everett Precinct, Unit 207, and their co-conspirators are not engaged in any legitimate operation, but rather are actively perpetuating an aggravated criminal conspiracy, functioning as a criminal enterprise and a domestic terrorist organization. Their actions represent a grave threat to my safety, the well-being of my children, and the integrity of the justice system. The FBI is fully aware of these rapidly escalating developments and the increasingly egregious nature of these crimes. This document serves as formal legal notice of these ongoing and new crimes, a demand for immediate and decisive action to dismantle this criminal enterprise, protect myself and my children, and ensure that all individuals involved are held fully accountable under the law. There is no immunity for these actions, and the perpetrators will be pursued to the fullest extent of the law. I declare under penalty of perjury that all of the aforementioned is true and correct. Sincerely, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen, date February 13th, 2025, time 3:49 a.m. PST. Now, I don't have any intention of ending this live stream anytime in the immediate future. Unit 207 may have ulterior ideas, but per the FBI's latest brief to me that I'm not authorized to say it out loud, it
So
seems that some of the people
you're
that-
listening still to that recording. Let me pause this.
already been made
Pause.
aware of this.
That was the February 13th report, which is far more important than the one that went out on the 14th. The one that went out on the 14th became completely irrelevant because of Unit 207's ongoing criminal conduct since then. Now I am going back to a video that has the remaining documents that the FBI would like to put an emphasis on for those of you that, again, are indeed going to prison. But hey, guys, the good news is it's February 16th. And if you didn't notice, in December and in the last 12 days, the FBI has had me submit legally binding paperwork informing you all that the plan is, and it can change subject with your domestic terrorist organization's criminal conduct. The plan is for you all to go to jail next month. And then I did you all a favor because I said it would be after the 10th. I mean, that's pretty nice of me to just let you know like that ahead of time, that at least for the first 10 days of March, As long as your domestic terrorist organization can control themselves, you won't be in jail yet. You won't have been arraigned yet. Now I am going back to the 2/8 live stream. 2/8, 5:20 p.m. Part 2, Mystic Gwen versus the North Everett Precinct of Fraudsters. I'm going to press play here, and this you're going to want to listen to roughly 30 to 45 minutes. Also, keep in mind, it is 3:27 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If this live stream ends for any reason without me orally telling you the end time and explicitly stating a new live stream is initiating in 90 seconds or less, the domestic terrorist within Unit 207 and the revolving door of North Everett Precinct officers that have come over to aid and abet their fellow domestic terrorist are 100% responsible. They're going to be charged for that. And I don't know that the live stream has ended and or they're preventing me from initiating another. But again, as of the preceding live stream, according to the FBI, it shouldn't be a problem going forward. It's not a problem the FBI is expecting will be persisting. The rampant criminality, again, from 2/11 to the live stream that preceded the live stream, which preceded this, did a lot evidentiary-wise for the FBI. So I'm going to press play. You're going to want to listen. These are the documents that were filed this month prior to that one you just heard from February 13th, which is an important one. But another one that's important is the February 4th judicial notice, which is what I'm going to begin with reading in this very live stream that I just clicked on. Again, this is 2/8/5:20 p.m. PT 22.
The North Everett Precinct. Oh, now we have a bounce back.
I got to fast forward to the right spot.
That have
Here
been
we go.
made as a result of the North Everett Precinct of fraudsters and stalkers.
Also,
and their litany of crimes
I
perpetrated.
am recording
250
offline again
plus
because if you missed it,
separate crimes
Unit 207
over the last
attempted
couple of
to
years.
completely remove the camera off the device that is currently
Now that
running the
being
live
said,
stream, so that this device that I'm holding in my hand
There is
usually
a
runs
first
the
part
live
to
stream.
this,
And since they
which
did that
was
to the
available as a
Lenovo ThinkPad,
podcast on
now this is
Spotify,
recording
Audible,
offline, and the
iHeartRadio.
Lenovo ThinkPad is recording the live stream. That's why you're looking
and on
at my ceiling.
x.com/Mystic Gwen Pod. But the criminals of the North Everett Precinct of Fraudsters, who will soon be provided with their unsealed indictments and whatnot, have prevented that from being available for you all, except for via a YouTube video at present. So there is a YouTube video that has the same title as this one. It does not say part 1, and the title is complete. This one, it cuts out at the word extortionist and et al. It says ... So this is also doubling as a recording for the time period that it's running. I am going to now read you the updates since the preceding less than 2 hours long video titled Mystic Gwen versus the North Everett Precinct of Fraudsters, the Stalker, the Extortionist, et al. This is part 2. Again, no longer available on the podcast because of these criminal idiots. Okay, we are going to do a recording of the latest addendum / police report. I'm not recording this one on Twitter since we know that UNIT207. That is one of the recordings we're going over, but it's not the one that we're to start with. This is the one the FBI wants us to start with. Concurrent. And now I am going to the February 4th, 2025 judicial notice. I'm going to read it verbatim on Facebook, which does include a first paragraph that isn't in the actual filing. Second police report of 2/25 at 10 a.m. Also served on federal felons via email and provided to law clerks at Snohomish Superior Courthouse via email. ADA mandatory filing in any / all cases with my legal names. Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. Law clerks, urgent, please and thanks. ADA mandatory file in any / all cases with my legal names. Mystic Wynn, aka Lynette Renee Hansen. Subject: aggravated and ongoing criminal conspiracy. Obstruction of justice. Evidence tampering. Child abuse. Child endangerment. Stalking. Harassment. Extortion. Fraud. Civil rights violations. And retaliation against FBI informant by North Everett Precinct, UNIT207, and associated individuals. 1. Incorporation of prior documents and declarations. This report serves as a formal complaint and notification regarding the ongoing criminal activities perpetrated by officers of the North Everett Precinct, individuals associated with Unit 207 at 2120 Highland Ave, Everett, Washington, at 2120 and their co-conspirators. This report hereby incorporates by reference the following documents which detail the extensive history of this criminal conspiracy and provide irrefutable evidence of the crimes committed. Declaration of Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Wynn, dated December 14th, 2024, revised 8:07 p.m. PST, specifically noting the 8:07 p.m. revision due to prior documented unlawful tampering and alteration of the original document, further evidencing the pattern of evidence tampering and obstruction of justice. Addendum 2 Declaration, dated December 19th, 2024. Addendum End Amendment to Declaration, dated December 29th, 2024. Tort claim filed August 14th, 2024 in case number 10-500-5934, served upon the North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County prosecutors, et al., 9 days before the second actionable kidnapping of my sons and 3 days before the first such kidnapping. All police reports filed by Lynette Renee Hansen from August 14th, 2024 to the present date, including but not limited to reports regarding threats to break and enter my residence, acts of stalking and harassment, acts of coordinated conspiracy, acts of illegal detainment, acts to tamper with evidence such as the repeated termination of live streams, the premeditated and actualized kidnapping of my disabled sons, the premeditated acts to obstruct justice, such as the rejection of legitimate police reports, the exploitation and abuse of my disabled sons, including the use of my sons to perpetrate the felony breaking and entering on January 29th, 2025. The specific incident on January 29th, 2025 involving the felony breaking and entering of my residence, facilitated by the use of my disabled sons after 19 days of planning by individuals in Unit 207 and their co-conspirators. All other incidents documented on my YouTube live streams and other recordings. 2. Critical context and ongoing illegal detention. As of today's date, February 4th, 2025.
Unit 207 is actively attempting to find a way to terminate this live stream.
Since August 6th, 2024.
At 3:35
My
a.m.,
front door has remained
men and
closed
women.
and locked since January 2nd, 2025, per explicit instructions from the FBI, with the sole exception of the illegal forced entry on January 29th, 2025. I have not, nor will I, interact with anything or anyone on the exterior of my home, per FBI instructions. 3. Pattern of criminality, fraudulent court orders, and retroactive fabrication of legal basis. The North Everett Precinct, in conjunction with the Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office, and other co-conspirators, has engaged in a persistent and egregious pattern of obtaining and utilizing fraudulent court orders to harass me, obstruct justice, and further their criminal conspiracy. These orders are obtained through fraudulent means, without proper service, and in violation.
They are
of
now
my due
using
process
real-time
rights.
e-support
It is hereby
at 3:37 a.m.
unequivocally
Nerd
stated
Squad.
that any and all court orders bearing my name, Lynette Renee Hansen, or Mystic Gwen, issued in 2024 or 2025, are deemed fraudulent and part of this criminal conspiracy. The possession, attempted enforcement, or any involvement in the acquisition of these orders implicates individuals in multiple felonies, including but not limited to conspiracy, fraud, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering. There are mandatory minimum sentences for anyone involved in these fraudulent orders. The ongoing attempts by these individuals to retroactively fabricate a legal basis for their criminal actions will fail. This is a desperate and transparent maneuver that will not shield them from liability. Their attempts to legitimize their actions through fraudulent means are an exercise in futility and further evidence of their guilt. For financial penalties, as previously documented, the following financial penalties are in effect and will be rigorously enforced. $100,000 per day for each day of my ongoing illegal detention. $10 million for any attempted illegal entry into my residence, with an enhancement to $25 million if I am asleep at the time of the attempted entry. This penalty applies to the recent breaking and entering on January 29th, 2025. $10 million for the use of my sons to commit any illegal act on behalf of the conspirators. Doubling of all penalties if fraudulent court orders are used in conjunction with any illegal entry, attempted illegal detention, or any other criminal act against me. Quadrupling of these fees for any of the above criminal acts if they are perpetrated within 7 days of a rejected police report regarding said acts. 5, absolute lack of immunity. Let it be known throughout the North Everett Precinct.
Let it be
the
known.
Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office,
Miss 80 plus
And
years is
among
upstairs
all
at
their
3:39 a.m. That's a weird
co-conspirators,
thing.
including but not limited to Erica Owens, Richard Garcia, and Anne Marie Bauer. There is no immunity, nor will there ever be, for any of the criminal acts perpetrated against me, past, present, or future. Every individual involved in this conspiracy, regardless of their position or title, is personally liable for their actions. This includes any and all attempts to follow unlawful directives. 6 recent events and further obstruction of justice. February 4th, 2025, 8:49 a.m. PST, the North Everett Precinct, in furtherance of their ongoing obstruction of justice, rejected the police report I filed earlier today regarding the events of January 29th, 2025. This rejection occurred less than an hour after the report was filed and significantly just prior to further criminal and fraudulent court maneuverings that were attempted and are believed to still be in progress as of 10:08 a.m. PST today. Unit 207 activity. Occupants of Unit 207 have indicated that their second premeditated breaking and entering of my residence is planned to occur expediently. While the exact timing remains unclear, their discussions suggest it could be today, tomorrow, or within the next 7 days. They have previously made over 38 attempts to illegally enter my home since the first week of August 2024. Based on their comments, they intend to use either the Owens and or another co-conspirator such as Anne-Marie Bauer for this subsequent breaking and entering. January 31st, 2025, the occupants of Unit 207 expressed confidence in the issuance of fraudulent court orders dated January 31st, 2025. They believe these fabricated documents provide them with impunity.
This is a delusion.
7. Conclusion. The North Everett Precinct, in conjunction with Unit 207 and associated individuals, is engaged in a relentless campaign of criminal activity. Their actions are an affront to justice and a clear violation of the public trust. The FBI is fully aware of these developments. Accountability is imminent. Sincerely, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. Date, February 4th, 2025. Time, 10:08 a.m. PST.
Okay, now we're moving on to the next one. Here we
So I am
go.
recording now, again on Twitter, but you all saw what Unit 207's added to their police report today in addition to the
Unit
other
207, as of
3:43
3:43 a.m., believes that once again they're going to be able to terminate the live stream. A female upstairs said, "See," as they criminally and illegally accessed the link for this video,
illegal and unlawful
which was
arrest,
set to
criminal
private
kidnapping
for the first
today, 26 in
part of the
Monday,
recording
210.
per the
Crimes
FBI's
by North Everett
instructions.
Precinct, Snohomish County prosecutors, DCYF, neighbors, parentheses, DCYF and EPD, comma, Owens, comma, Garcia, comma, et al. Via Unit 207. Addendum to formal judicial notice filed February 6, 2025, 7 a.m. PST. Original filing, formal judicial notice, aggravated and ongoing criminal conspiracy, obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, child abuse, child endangerment, stalking, harassment, extortion, fraud, civil rights violations, and retaliation against FBI informant by North Everett Precinct, Unit 207, and associated individuals. Mandatory filing pursuant to ADA in any/all cases with my legal names, Lynette Renee Hansen, also known as Mystic Gwen. Date of original filing, February 4th, 2025, 10:08 a.m. PST. 2. Snohomish County Superior Court, North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, Snohomish County Prosecutors, et al., and forwarded to FBI. From Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. This document serves as an addendum to the formal judicial notice filed on February 4th, 2025 at 10:08 a.m. PST, and provides further information regarding subsequent events in the continued escalating criminal conspiracy perpetrated by individuals associated with the North Everett Precinct, Unit 207 at 2120 Highland Ave, Everett, Washington, and their co-conspirators. 1. Incorporation of prior filing. All facts, invoices, statements, and incorporated documents referenced in the original formal judicial notice of February 4th, 2025 are hereby incorporated by reference as if fully set forth herein. 2. Supplemental information, subsequent events. The following events have transpired subsequent to the filing of the aforementioned formal judicial notice, further demonstrating the ongoing criminal conspiracy, the imminent threat posed by the perpetrators, and their continued obstruction of justice. This section details further criminal acts and ongoing conspiracy subsequent to the filing of the aforementioned document on February 4th, 2025 at 10:08 a.m., further demonstrating the blatant disregard for the law and the ongoing threat posed by the individuals involved. February 5th, 2025, 11:52 a.m. to 11:58 a.m. PST.
Unit
Female
207
individuals
is
associated with
actively
Unit 207
attempting to hack this
identified as
video
having
and my
actively
YouTube channel
participated in stalking and harassment
at 3:46 a.m.
activities against me since
February
April
16th.
2023, and described as a protege of the woman facing over 80 years in prison, was observed engaging in frantic cellular phone communications. During this period, she actively attempted to prevent me from overhearing her conversations. Based on the context of the ongoing conspiracy, the nature of her actions, and my informed perspective as a designated FBI informant, it is reasonably speculated that this individual was engaged in acts of perjury, further conspiracy to obstruct justice, and or furthering the aggravated criminal conspiracy involving the North Everett Precinct, the Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office, and the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, DCYF. February 5th, 2025, 8:20 a.m. to 8:27 a.m. PST, male individuals associated with Unit 207 engaged in furtive and suspicious behavior, interpreted as an attempt to test the FBI's surveillance capabilities or to provoke a reaction. This behavior is consistent with their ongoing pattern of attempting to catch the FBI, as they phrased it, demonstrating a continued disregard for the federal investigation and a commitment to their criminal objectives. Ongoing stalking, hacking, and threats. The individuals associated with Unit 207, the North Everett Precinct, and the Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office continue to actively stalk, hack, and harass me. They have stated as recently as this morning, February 6, 2025, that they are planning to break into my home and detain, arrest, and or unlawfully commit me. They stated that this will occur either today or by Monday. Premeditated second/third break-in. Individuals in Unit 207 have reiterated their intent to perpetrate a second or third, depending on whether prior attempted entries are included, breaking and entering of my residence. The first incident occurred on January 29th, 2025, and involved the exploitation of my disabled sons. The prior attempted illegal entries and stalking, moving of private property to do so, peering into my windows, numbering at least 38 separate instances. The current plans apparently involve the utilization of co-conspirators, including but not limited to Erica and John Owens and or Anne Marie Bauer. Child abuse and exploitation. The continued involvement of and planned use of my disabled sons in these criminal activities constitutes aggravated child abuse and endangerment. These actions are a direct result of a year-long campaign of targeted abuse designed to exploit their disabilities and cause regression and escalation, which has been perpetrated by these individuals and their co-conspirators as outlined in the incorporated documents. They instructed their named co-conspirators, Erica Owens and Richard Garcia, to perpetrate abuses upon my sons on a weekly basis. Planned, quote, defenses, end quote, and obstruction. The planned defenses of this criminal enterprise, as articulated in the tort claim filed on August 14th, 2024 in case number 10-500-5934, and incorporated herein, are demonstrably fraudulent and constitute further acts of obstruction of justice. These defenses were conceived prior to many of the overt acts of this conspiracy and are now being pursued in a desperate and illegal attempt to retroactively justify their criminal conduct. They are attempting to make me cooperate with some form of prosecution via coercion of Erica Owens. Their stated motives to the FBI and others continue to be self-serving. Protecting their careers, reputations, and income has always been of primary concern to them. Coordinated, aggravated conspiracy. The entirety of their actions, as detailed, form the basis of a coordinated and aggravated conspiracy to deprive myself and my sons of our civil rights and liberties. 3. Conclusion. The information presented in this addendum, taken in conjunction with the original formal judicial notice of February 4th, 2025, and all previously incorporated documents, paints a damning picture of escalating criminal conduct. The individuals associated with the North Everett Precinct, UNIT207, and their expanding network of co-conspirators demonstrate not only a blatant disregard for the law, but a stubborn commitment to their failing conspiracy. Verified. Despite clear warnings, despite the weight of evidence accumulating against them, and despite the ongoing federal investigation, they persist in their obstruction of justice, their evidence tampering, their threats, and their unconscionable exploitation of vulnerable children. Their attempts to retroactively fabricate a legal justification for their actions are transparently fraudulent and will not succeed. They continue to dig a deeper hole for themselves. Their recent actions, including the continued plotting, the frantic communications, and the blatant attempts to interfere with this ongoing investigation, are not signs of strength. They are signs of desperation. The quote, cycle of subterfuge, end quote, as previously noted by the FBI, continues, but it is a cycle that is rapidly spiraling towards its inevitable conclusion. Full accountability under the law. I
Amen.
declare under penalty of perjury that all of the aforementioned is true and correct. Sincerely, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen.
Okay, then we have a third one. Stay tuned for the fourth one. It's actually very powerful according to the FBI. In contrast to Unit
formal
207
judicial
stuff.
notice filed February 7th, 2025, 2 p.m. PST. Original filing, formal judicial notice, aggravated and ongoing criminal conspiracy, obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, child abuse, child endangerment, stalking, harassment, extortion, fraud, civil rights violations, and retaliation against FBI informant by North Everett Precinct, UNIT207, and associated individuals, mandatory filing pursuant to ADA in any/all cases. With my legal names, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. Date of original filing, February 4th, 2025, 10:08 a.m. Prior addendum, February 6th, 2025, 7 a.m. PST. To Snohomish County Superior Court, North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, Snohomish County Prosecutors, et al., and forwarded to FBI. From Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. Subject: supplemental information regarding further criminal activities, escalation of threats, and incurred penalties, February 7th, 2025. This document serves as a third addendum to the formal judicial notice filed on February 4th, 2025 at 10:08
It was
a.m.
actually only the second.
and supplemented on February 6th, 2025. It provides further information regarding the subsequent events in the continued escalating criminal conspiracy perpetrated by individuals associated with the North Everett Precinct, Unit 207 at 2120 Highland Ave, Everett, Washington, and their co-conspirators. 1. Incorporation of prior filings. All facts, invoices, statements, and incorporated documents referenced in the original formal judicial notice of February 4th, 2025, and the addendum of February 6th, 2025, and all police reports filed are hereby incorporated by reference as if fully set forth herein. 2. Supplemental information, subsequent events. The following events have transpired subsequent to the filing of the aforementioned addenda, further demonstrating the ongoing criminal conspiracy, the imminent threat posed by the perpetrators, their continued obstruction of justice, and the accrual of additional financial penalties. A. February 7th, 2025, 12:50 p.m. PST, individuals associated with UNIT207 engaged in aggravated stalking, harassment, and criminal trespass by repeatedly and forcefully knocking on my front door. This occurred in the afternoon and was clearly intended to intimidate, harass, and disturb my peace. This action constitutes a renewed and egregious threat, escalating their prior criminal conduct. Due to the quadrupling clause triggered by the prior rejection of police reports detailing the ongoing conspiracy and threats, this incident incurs a $40 million penalty as previously invoiced and agreed upon. B. February 7th, 2025, 8:48 a.m. PST, the North Everett Precinct continuing its brazen and criminal obstruction of justice, rejected 2 more legitimate police reports. The report filed on January 4th, 2025, that should actually say February 4th, at 10:08 a.m. PST, and the report filed on February 6th, 2025, at 7 a.m. PST. These rejections are further evidence of the North Everett Precinct's active participation in the criminal conspiracy and their deliberate attempt to shield their officers and co-conspirators from accountability. Due to the quadrupling clause triggered by the ongoing conspiracy and the subsequent criminal acts documented herein, this act of obstruction incurs a $40 million penalty as previously invoiced. C. February 7th, 2025, 5 a.m. EST. Occupants of Unit 207 were overheard discussing plans to, quote, double down and, quote, wage a war, end quote, specifically targeting this coming Monday and or Saturday for further criminal actions against me. This demonstrates a clear and present danger and an escalation of their threats. D. February 6, 2025, just before 4 p.m. PST, a female identified by the FBI as a federal felon visited Unit 207. During this visit, she provided directives to the occupants regarding actions to be taken against me, specifically while I was asleep. This is further evidence of the coordinated nature of the conspiracy and the ongoing planning of criminal acts. E. February 6th and 7th, 2025, multiple live stream terminations. Individuals associated with Unit 207 have on 5 separate occasions since the filing of the first addendum on February 6th, criminally and illegally terminated my YouTube live streams. These acts constitute further evidence tampering and obstruction of justice. Each instance of illegal live stream terminations incurs a $10 million penalty as invoiced without the quadrupling due to the terminations taking place prior to the ongoing obstruction and conspiracy of the North Everett Precinct's deliberate rejection of valid police reports. Ongoing pattern of criminality. These recent events are part of a continuous and escalating pattern of criminal behavior that has persisted for over 17 months. The individuals involved have demonstrated a complete disregard for the law, a willingness to exploit vulnerable individuals, including my disabled sons, and a commitment to obstructing justice at every turn. Financial penalties. I reiterate that the following financial penalties are in effect and will be rigorously enforced. $100,000 per day for each day of my ongoing illegal detention, now exceeding 180 days. $10 million for any attempted illegal entry into my residence, increased to $25 million if I am asleep at the time. This penalty applies to the recent breaking and entering on January 29th, 2025. $10 million for the use of my sons and or for coercing them to commit any illegal acts. doubling of all penalties if fraudulent court orders are used in conjunction with any illegal act, quadrupling of these fees for any of the above criminal acts if they are perpetrated within 7 days of a rejected police report regarding said acts, 10 million for the rejection of legitimate police reports constituting obstruction of justice, 10 million for the incident of stalking, harassment, ADA violations, criminal trespass, and witness intimidation on February 7th, 2025 at 12:50 p.m. 10 million per instance of illegally terminating a YouTube live stream. The current actions of the North Everett Precinct and Unit 207 as documented in this report have incurred an additional 130 million in penalties, 80 million from today's AM and noon crimes, and 50 million for the live stream terminations. Conclusion, the North Everett Precinct, Unit 207, and their associated co-conspirators continue to operate with impunity, escalating their criminal activities and demonstrating a blatant disregard for the law and the ongoing federal investigation. Their actions are not only criminal, but also morally reprehensible. This report serves as further documentation of their crimes. The FBI is fully aware of these developments. I demand immediate action to stop this ongoing criminal conspiracy and to hold all those involved accountable for their actions. I declare under penalty of perjury that all of the aforementioned is true and correct. Sincerely, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen, date February 7th, 2025, time 1:45 p.m. PST. Now I'm going to go over to.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the latest one from today, which Unit 207 thinks that they can somehow manipulate or use in their favor. They plan on proceeding with their planned crimes. Remember, they've had crimes planned for Monday since last week when I made the first filing on February 4th. So pay attention to this one, because contrary to Unit 207, the FBI is very confident that this one right here, this one right here, stalkers. This one right here, stalkers, is going to prove very important to your entire spring season.
Okay, we are going to do a recording of the latest addendum / police report. I'm not recording this one on Twitter since we know that Unit 207 has effectively destroyed that as well in their ongoing pattern of obstruction of justice and evidence tampering. Third addendum to formal judicial notice filed February 8th, 2025 at 7:12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Laheim, motherfuckers.
Date of original filing, February 4th, 2025.
Hey, just remember, it's not March yet. You should have 2 weeks at minimum. It's not March yet, babies.
Addendums,
February 16th.
2025, 7 a.m. PST.
Unit 207's whole domestic terrorist organization has actively been trying to terminate this. They've been running in and out of their unit for hours this morning. And you had lots of people running in and out of it to perpetrate your domestic terrorism, most notably preventing me from sending those offline videos to the FBI yesterday morning. Huge no-no. Huge crime.
Criminal activities.
Anyway.
Escalation of threats, evidence tampering, continued child abuse, and incurred penalties. February 8th, 2025. Demand for immediate action and notice of intent to seek maximum.
Or to put it another way, the FBI has stated they have surveillance of everyone that went in and out of your unit since the 11th.
The formal judicial notice filed on February 4th, 2025 at 10:08 a.m. PST and previously supplemented. It provides further crucial information regarding subsequent events, the continued escalation of the criminal conspiracy,
which is part of the evidentiary value. Apparently somebody was up there they wanted to catch footage of going in and out.
Further acts of retaliation, and the accrual of additional financial penalties against those perpetrating these crimes. This addendum also serves as a formal police report documenting these new crimes. 1. Incorporation of prior filings by reference. All facts, invoices, statements, and incorporated documents referenced in the original formal judicial notice of February 4th, 2025, the addendums of February 6th and 7th, 2025, and all police reports filed by Lynette Renee Hansen from June 2024 to the present date, and any future date are hereby incorporated by reference as if fully set forth herein. This specifically includes, but is not limited to, Declaration of Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen, dated December 14th, 2024, revised 8:07 p.m. PST due to unlawful tampering. Addendum to Declaration dated December 19th, 2024. Addendum and Amendment to Declaration dated December 29th, 2024. Tort claim filed August 14th, 2024, case number 10-500-5934, served upon the North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County prosecutors et al. This document details planned felonies, named conspirators, prior child abuse, and plans for super felonies. The dated signage referenced within and photographed for that last page predated even that filing. It is to be noted per that tort claim, those named within it and their co-conspirators had planned to not only have the actionable kidnappings take place using my multiple times convicted stalker and abuser and my extortionist mother, but they also, and I quote, had, quote, super felonies planned. All police reports filed since June 2024 by me, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. 2. Correction to the previous addendum from February 7th, 2025. Any reference in the February 7th, 2025 addendum to January 4th, 2025 is hereby corrected to read February 4th, 2025 at 10:08 a.m. PST. 3. Supplemental information, subsequent criminal acts and escalation. A. Status of front door and illegal detention. My front door has remained continuously closed and locked since January 2nd, 2025, per explicit FBI instructions. The sole exception was the forced entry on January 29th, 2025, perpetrated by my disabled sons and illegally kidnapped sons, under the direction of this criminal conspiracy. The FBI has instructed me to keep my door closed until the perpetrators are apprehended or until they attempt another illegal entry. As of today, February 8th, 2025, I have been illegally detained within my own residence for 184 days since August 6, 2024. B. February 7th, 2025, evidence tampering, obstruction of justice, and continued threats. Livestream interference. While preparing and filing the previous addendum and police report on February 7th, 2025, individuals associated with UNIT207 criminally and illegally terminated 4 separate YouTube live streams. They also retroactively erased over 1 hour of footage from certain recordings. These actions constitute blatant evidence tampering, obstruction of justice, and witness intimidation. It is strongly suspected that these actions were taken to either A, create a false impression of personal service or my voluntary exit from my residence, or B, to conceal evidence of their planning and preparation for their next planned break-in and other felonies. 12:50 p.m., knocking. Individuals associated with Unit 207 engaged in aggravated stalking, harassment, and criminal trespass. C. February 8th, 2025, 5:30 a.m. PST, confirmation of imminent break-in. As of approximately 5:30 a.m. PST on February 8th, 2025, a male in Unit 207 confirmed plans for an imminent break-in involving numerous officers from the North Everett Precinct. This is consistent with the ongoing threats and plans that have been documented for over a year and specifically reported to the North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County prosecutors, DCYF, and others. The conspirators in Unit 207 have stated that this needs to occur prior to February 23rd Because the attorneys involved, at least 2 of whom are facing federal disbarment, are aware that this conspiracy will result in additional and more serious charges being filed. D. Prior knowledge and warnings. It is crucial to emphasize that the North Everett Precinct, the Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office, DCYF, and named individuals, including Richard Garcia and Erica Owens, have been repeatedly warned about their illegal activities and the consequences thereof. These warnings include 11 months of cease and desist letters directly sent to the involved parties and their revolving cast of 3rd, 4th, and 5th parties, beginning in September 2023, 11 months prior to their illegal premeditated felonies since August 2024. August 7th and August 13th, 2024, signage. Dated signs photographed and included in the August 14th, 2024 tort claim were placed on my property explicitly addressed to the North Everett Precinct. The Owens, Richard Garcia, DCYF and Unit 207, prohibiting trespassing, knocking without a warrant, stalking, and other criminal activities. These signs were in addition to signs that had been in place for over a year prior, and that the FBI had me add them to the last page of the August 14th, 2024 tort claim. August 14th, 2024 tort claim. This document was made after 11 months of cease and desist letters failed to do anything, and the kidnappings, illegal detainment, etc. were planned for the weeks after. This document detailed the planned felonies, named the conspirators, and outlined the financial penalties for their actions, including their defenses, i.e. obstruction / conspiracy / etc. Numerous police reports, repeatedly filed police reports documenting the ongoing threats and criminal activities have been consistently rejected by the North Everett Precinct, including before their actionable kidnappings reported for weeks and months prior, published about in December 2023 on my personal Twitter account, x.com/realmysticgwen. Direct communication. All conspirators except Erica and John Owens were explicitly informed beginning August 6, 2024, that I was not authorized to communicate with them, read anything from them, or cooperate with them in any way. The Owens were informed shortly after their involvement in the second actionable kidnapping. Per the FBI's instructions, cease and desist letters and August 14th tort claim filed in case number 10-500-5934. Despite these warnings, the conspirators have sent over 48 individuals to my door and engaged in constant exterior stalking just since the first week of August. They did the same thing for the 11 months prior when they were getting cease and desist letters. E. Involvement of Everett Public School District. The potential involvement of the Everett Public School District, an institution with which I had a long and positive relationship as a art docent, special ed para-volunteer, enhanced teaching volunteer, and donor, is noted with grave concern. This highlights the sprawling nature of the conspiracy and its willingness to corrupt and exploit various institutions. I volunteered for an average of 40 hours a week from 2012/2013 to the start of 2020 and donated tens of thousands to the school district. F. Podcast interference. Unit 207 and or their co-conspirators have blocked my podcast from being uploaded to Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Audible. They have also had x.com block all access via my dedicated podcast Twitter, x.com/mysticgwenpod. I will create a YouTube live stream part 2 of my prior, titled Mystic Gwen versus the North Everett Precinct of Fraudsters, the Stalker, the Extortionist, et al. By 8 p.m. PST today. G. FBI timeline and intent. The FBI informed me in December 2024 of their plans to incarcerate officers involved in the conspiracy in March 2025. Subject to change based on the conspirators' actions. Unit 207 statements indicate they believe they have no alternative but to proceed with their planned illegal entry, arrest, committal, or kidnapping before February 23rd. As the involved attorneys are aware of the increased severity of charges they will face after that date. 4. Financial penalties updated. The following financial penalties previously invoiced and contractually agreed upon are reiterated and updated. $100,000 per day for each day of my ongoing illegal detention. now totaling over 180 days. 10 million for any attempted illegal entry into my residence, increased to 25 million if I am asleep at the time. This penalty applies to the recent breaking and entering on January 29th, 2025. 10 million for the use of my sons and/or for coercing them to commit any illegal acts, including the January 29th breaking and entering. Doubling of all penalties of fraudulent court orders are used in conjunction with any illegal act. Quadrupling of these fees for any of the above criminal acts if they are perpetrated within 7 days of a rejected police report regarding said acts. 10 million for the rejection of legitimate police reports constituting obstruction of justice. This applies to all reports rejected to date. 10 million for each instance of illegally terminating a YouTube live stream. This applies to all instances to date. 10 million for each and every instance of stalking. 10 million for each and every instance of harassment. 10 million for each and every instance of ADA violations. 10 million for each and every instance of civil rights violations. 10 million for the incident of stalking, harassment, ADA violations, criminal trespass, and witness intimidation on February 7th, 2025 at 12:50 p.m. Additional penalties for February 7th events, subject to quadrupling. The 40,000 for the knocking, or the 40 million for the knocking and 40 million for the obstruction based on the 2 rejected reports. Additional penalties for live stream termination, 4 terminations times 10 million equals 40 million. The actions documented in this addendum and those rejected in prior reports significantly increase the financial liability of the conspirators. 5, conclusion. This addendum provides further irrefutable evidence of the aggravated and ongoing criminal conspiracy targeting me, a designated FBI informant. The individuals involved, including officers of the North Everett Precinct, members of the Snohomish County Prosecutor's Office, occupants of UNIT207, and their expanding network of co-conspirators demonstrates a complete and utter disregard for the law, for my rights, and for the well-being of my children. Their attempts to obstruct justice, tamper with evidence, and intimidate a federal witness are not only failing, but are actively strengthening the case against them. The FBI maintains that anyone and/or everyone sticking to the perjurious and fraudulent proclamation that any of their actions were, quote, reactive and not the premeditated, illegal, and consistently reported felonies that they were and are, will be the recipients of the longest prison sentences. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is fully aware of these developments. This document serves as formal legal notice of these crimes and a demand for immediate action to protect my safety and ensure accountability. Sincerely, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. Date February 8th, 2025. Time 7:12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, it is now 6:13 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's February 8th. And this video is going to double not just as the part 2 for Mystic Gwen versus the North Everett Precinct fraudsters.
Let me end this here. Remember, you're hearing a prior recording right now. End me at the same time.
We'll say 12 hours. I have zero intention of.
Okay, so we have one more addendum to go over. But again, like I stated at the beginning of this live stream, this one sort of became irrelevant based on the litany of additional crimes. There are updates in the description for some of the preceding live streams that tell you things about like police officers coming over here just to help with the obstruction, evidence tampering. The big kicker is the fact that they had the gall to prevent me from sending offline videos to the FBI yesterday in the morning. Huge criminal no-no. But so is so many of the things they're going to be convicted for that they've perpetrated and that they truly actively believe they're going to get away with. I mean, it is mind-boggling. But remember, a lot of it boils down to those in positions of power, which the FBI is, quote, abdicating, end quote. To put that another way, forcibly removing from power. So we are going to read one additional. This one is from 214. It is the 5th and final addendum to the formal judicial notice. But before I get to that, I just want to clarify a few things. During the entirety of this live stream, there have been numerous individuals in Unit 207 coming and going for over an hour, actively attempting to once again end this live stream, erase it, prevent it from functioning, and their entire legal defense right now in their minds, they don't have a legal defense. They don't realize that when I said that they've been a domestic terrorist organization since August, that is something even the federal marshals know. These people haven't been allowed to enter into a country without an extradition agreement with the United States since August, not one of them. They can fly to Indonesia, for instance, but they can't enter Indonesia. They might even get all the way to customs only to then be greeted by a couple of federal marshals who would put them on a plane and promptly bring them back to the U.S. And so let's go over some quotes from the FBI. The following has been said by the FBI since August. Quote, most officers take an oath to serve and protect. The North Everett Precinct takes an oath to abuse and deflect. That constitutes domestic terrorism, end quote. Another quote on the North Everett Precinct. Quote, they've been renamed the Precinct of Stalkers, end quote. That came in January. For those of you that don't know, the North Everett Precinct has been known by every FBI employee in this state for well over a year, collectively as the Precinct of Fraudsters. If you say Precinct of Fraudsters, even to the paper pushers of the FBI in this state, they know instantaneously you're referring to the North Everett Precinct. So they've also said the following quote, quote, there will be an exodus at the North Everett Precinct, end quote. And on Unit 207 explicitly, they've said this quote since prior to them making the jump from an aggravated criminal conspiracy, which is what they've been, again, since March/April 2023 for many people's indictments, particularly the women they're so excited to throw in prison. Since September 2023 and others. And then there's some new blood up there, and I don't really know where they sit or stand, who have only been there since it's been a domestic terrorist organization and not just the aggravated criminal conspiracy and criminal enterprise that it's actually been for the years up to August. So here's that quote on Unit 207 explicitly. Quote, they are not nearly as smooth as they like to imagine, end quote. So it is now 4:24 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Sunday, February 16th, 2025. Again, I want to say thank you so much to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, to the Snohomish County Sheriffs, to the Seattle Federal Marshals, to the Attorney General's Office, and to every other individual that sent off my SOS as a result of the federal felons upstairs and their variety of felonies and ongoing criminality just since the 5th addendum that I'm about to read to you. And then I also want to let everybody know this is now the updated part 2 of Mystic Gwen versus the North Everett Precinct of Fraudsters, the Stalker, the Extortionist et al. There was a previous video that was labeled as such, but since then, there's been so much rampant criminality that this video is necessary. So it is going to serve as another brief, another part 2, but this is the real part 2. I may or may not throw it onto mysticgwen.com on the page I dedicated to the North Everett Precinct of Fraudsters. Currently, the video that's up there is the video that was marked as part 2, but that was missing the February 13th addendum, which again, the FBI feels is a very powerful addendum, even though Unit 207 does not agree with that assessment. And it also does not include the addendum I'm about to read. The addendum I'm about to read, though, basically, it's sort of irrelevant at this point because, again, this was submitted February 14th in the morning. And if you just take a look at my YouTube channel, you'll see every video that has either an image that's like a decade old of my kids at the beach and or no photo of me from last month is a different video they've criminally and illegally shut off, knowing that that costs them $10 million a pop, or as is the case right now, $40 million a pop due to their rejection of legitimate police reports as recently as Friday the 14th, an hour after Mrs. 80 plus years was here and actively telling everyone upstairs to terminate my live stream, and she did. And then she prevented me from making any live streams. And then the next day, I speculate she instructed them to prevent me from sending those offline recordings to the FBI and the sheriffs. Now, I don't know for sure that she instructed them of that, but that level of crime is heinous, it's egregious, and it's something that only someone knowing they're going to prison for the rest of their lives would ever have the gall to instruct a citizen, a civilian, let alone a public servant to do. Block the FBI informant from sending the offline videos to the sheriffs and the FBI. Now, that being said, some of you may be wondering, well, why did it persist for so many days? You know, all of this stress for you. I was wondering the same thing. And the FBI said it's because it provided a litany of evidentiary value, i.e., really big deal that you guys were preventing me from sending the offline recordings to the FBI. Really big deal. Really big deal. So let's go to the fifth addendum. All right, so I'll read this, but really you should only primarily pay attention to the first hour and 25 minutes of this video, because this part is just going to be like a regurgitation of everything you already know. Even if you're not a member of the domestic terrorist organization, if you've been following along at all, even just once a week, you've already picked up on it because you've looked at my YouTube channel. So here we go. This is going to be read verbatim via the Facebook post. And then I'm going to post this on Facebook at facebook.com/MysticGwenLovesOnlyYou. And I think I will add it to mysticgwen.com, the page that's dedicated to this domestic terrorist organization, this aggravated criminal conspiracy, this criminal enterprise. Here we go. 2:14, 3:28 p.m., Unit 207, North Everett Precinct. Snohomish County prosecutors et al. Unit 207 blocking all YouTube live streams as of 2:26 p.m. 2:14. Fifth addendum to formal judicial notice filed February 14th, 2025, 10:56 a.m. PST. Original filing. Formal judicial notice, aggravated and ongoing criminal conspiracy, obstruction of justice, evidence tampering, child abuse, child endangerment, aggravated, I might add, aggravated. Stalking, harassment, extortion, fraud, civil rights violations, ADA violations, and pay attention to this one. Retaliation against FBI informant by North Everett Precinct, Unit 207, and associated individuals. Mandatory filing pursuant to ADA in any/all cases with my legal names, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen. Date of original filing. For those of you that are like, oh, I've already heard all of this, you're right. I have to go over this because it lets everybody know what other documents they should be looking at and considering while hearing this to have the totality of the situation. All right, so date of original filing, the February 4th, 2025, 10:08 a.m. PST judicial notice. That was the second document you heard in this specific recording because we began with the February 13th one. And that was more as a courtesy for those people who haven't been able to get any sort of updates since the 13th, basically, because of the rampant criminality of Unit 207, the North Everett Precinct, and everyone else that the FBI appreciates. They got video recordings of entering the unit, being called even at 1:55 in the morning. You know, the evidentiary value that the FBI said was why they allowed it. Okay. Previous addendums, February 6, 2025, 7 a.m. February 7th, 2025, 1:45 p.m., correcting previous documents error, which incorrectly labeled it as third addendum. February 8th, 2025, 7:12 a.m. February 13th, 2025, 3:49 a.m. To Snohomish County Superior Court, North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, Snohomish County Prosecutors et al., and forwarded to FBI. From Lynette Renee Hansen, a.k.a. Mystic Gwen. Subject, fifth addendum. Further criminal acts, including attempts to suborn perjury for fraudulent court orders, cybercrimes, and continued retaliation against FBI informant. February 14th, 2025, specific criminal statute violations. This document serves as the fifth addendum to the formal judicial notice filed on February 4th, 2025. It details further criminal acts perpetrated by individuals associated with the North Everett Precinct, NEP, Unit 207 at 2120 Highland Ave, Everett, Washington, and their co-conspirators. This addendum also functions as a formal police report and includes specific references to applicable Washington State RCW, Washington Administrative Code, WAC, and United States Code, USC violations. 1. Incorporation of prior filings, all facts, invoices, statements, and incorporated documents from the original formal judicial notice of February 4th, 2025, and all subsequent addendums, February 6th, 7th, 8th, and 13th, 2025. And all police reports filed by Lynette Renee Hansen from June 2024 to the present are incorporated by reference. This includes, but is not limited to, the tort claim filed August 14th, 2024, case number 10-5005934. All police reports filed since June 2024 by Lynette Renee Hansen, a.k.a. Mystic Gwen. 2. New criminal acts, February 14th, 2025, with statutory violations. The following criminal acts have occurred since the fourth addendum, demonstrating a continued escalation and brazen disregard for the law. Each act is followed by the relevant statutes potentially violated. 10:34 a.m. PST, Unit 207 is actively attempting to acquire further fraudulent court orders to terminate my entire YouTube channel. They've already blocked the creation of new channels via any email since my illegal detention began on August 6, 2024. RCW 9A.72, perjury in the second degree if false statements were made to obtain the orders. RCW 9A.72, false swearing. RCW 9A.60, forgery if documents were falsified. RCW 961, cyber stalking using electronic communications to harass, intimidate, torment, or embarrass. RCW 9A.72.120, obstructing a law enforcement officer. That one applies because you prevented me from sending those offline recordings to the FBI, so it applies extra hard. And this is just regarding before you did that. Okay, back to the reading. U.S. Code 18, Section 1512, tampering with the witness, victim, or an informant. U.S. Code 18, Section 242, deprivation of rights. U.S. Code 18, Section 1519, destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in federal investigations. That's an important one, too, because according to the FBI, you guys have done nothing but that since August. A lot of counts of that one. Where were we at? Okay, U.S. Code 42, Section 12203, prohibition against interference and coercion under ADA. Ongoing obstruction, 211 to 214. Unit 207 has continued to obstruct and tamper with nearly all live streams, except for 2 or 3 between February 11th and 3 in the morning on February 14th. RCW 9A.76, intimidating a witness. RCW 9.61, cyberstalking. U.S. Code 18, Section 1512, tampering with the witness, victim, or informant. U.S. Code 18, Section 1519, destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in federal investigations. 10:13 a.m. Per their domestic terrorist organization, Unit 207 is actively using 3 domestic terrorists, soon to be detained, to terminate the current live stream. RCW 9A.76, intimidating a witness. RCW 9.61, cyberstalking. RCW 9A.76, obstructing a law enforcement officer if hindering an investigation, preventing me from sending those offline recordings to the FBI yesterday morning. Did I mention how very, very much of a no-no that was? U.S. Code 18, Section 1512, tampering with the witness, victim, or informant. U.S. Code 18, Section 2331, definitions related to domestic terrorism. U.S. Code 18, Section 2332B, acts of terrorism transcending national boundaries. U.S. Code 42, Section 12203, prohibition against interference and coercion under ADA. 8:55 a.m., 1 domestic terrorist left Unit 207 to go to the North Everett Precinct, their base of operations. RCW 9A.76, intimidating a witness if purpose was to coordinate further obstruction, and it was. RCW 9A.04, liability for conduct of another, complicity. U.S. Code 18, Section 2, principles, aiding and abetting. U.S. Code 18, Section 371, conspiracy to commit offense or to defraud the United States. 8:52 a.m., Unit 207 ended a prior live stream and is actively deploying the 3 domestic terrorists to end the current one. RCW 9A.76, intimidating a witness. RCW 9.61, cyberstalking. U.S. Code 18, Section 1512, tampering with the witness, victim, or an informant. 7:23 a.m. PST, Unit 207 responsible for more than 1 ingestion is using the primary URL. Send 1 stream to the primary ingestion URL and 1 stream to the backup URL. RCW 9A.76, intimidating a witness. RCW 9.61, cyberstalking. U.S. Code 18, Section 1512, tampering with the witness, victim, or informant. U.S. Code 18, Section 1519, destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in federal investigations. Did I mention how big of a no-no it was to not send the offline videos to the FBI yesterday? Oh, I did. Quite a few times, eh? All right. Continuing. 1:56 a.m. PST, a North Everett Precinct officer entered Unit 207 to aid fellow domestic terrorists in terminating the live stream and furthering their plans for a third break-in, their own detainment and arraignment. RCW 9A.52, burglary in the second degree if entering a dwelling with the intent to commit a crime. RCW 9A.76, intimidating a witness. RCW 9A.76, obstructing a law enforcement officer. RCW 9A.04, liability for conduct of another, complicity. U.S. Code 18, Section 2, principles, aiding and abetting. U.S. Code 18, Section 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. U.S. Code 18, Section 371, conspiracy to commit offense or to defraud United States. U.S. Code 18, Section 1512, tampering with a witness, victim, or an informant. U.S. Code 18, Section 242, deprivation of rights. U.S. Code 14, Section 12203, prohibition against interference and coercion under ADA. Midnight, 213 into 214. Unit 207 planned another break-in in collaboration with fellow domestic terrorists from the North Everett Precinct, Snohomish County prosecutors, et al. RCW 9A.52, burglary in the second degree if entering a dwelling with intent to commit a crime. RCW 9A.28, criminal attempt. RCW 9A.76, intimidating a witness. RCW 9A.76, obstructing a law enforcement officer. RCW 9A.04, liability for conduct of another. Complicity. Fortunately, this isn't in the report, but some of the people in Unit 207, like I've already stated, are not only whistleblowers and not only victims themselves, but also they are not tolerating that shit anymore. They may be at risk for retaliation, which again, the FBI has stated they absolutely are, more severe than what I've experienced. And I have experienced everything short of murder and my own personal kidnapping at this point. Oh, and I haven't been unlawfully and illegally arrested and or committed and or kidnapped personally yet. Okay, back to the reading. Where was I at? We did the midnight, aiding and abetting, deprivation, complicity. Okay, U.S. Code 18, Section 2, principles, aiding and abetting. U.S. Code 18, Section 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. U.S. Code 18, Section 371, conspiracy to commit offense or to defraud United States. U.S. Code, which, let's go back to that. This one, guys, U.S. Code 18, Section 371. You're guilty of that every time you've been in the Snohomish County Superior Courthouse since August. Let that sink in. Did you catch that? Conspiracy to commit offense or to defraud the United States. Your domestic terrorist organization, which used to just be an aggravated criminal conspiracy, every court document, all of which are fraudulent, all of which have been illegally enforced at the risk of putting everyone enforcing them in prison themselves. Each and every one of those constitutes you attempting to defraud the United States because you've known since before you got any of them, weeks before, months before, that the FBI was investigating you. You got those because some of those attorneys that are facing federal disbarment thought they were smarter than the FBI and that they wouldn't get caught. Each and every one of those was an attempt to impede a federal investigation by your domestic terrorist organization and to defraud the United States. And also, per the FBI and according to the Attorney General, the state of Washington, your employer. Back to the report. Where were we at? U.S. Code 18, Section 1512, tampering with the witness, victim, or an informant. U.S. Code 18, Section 242, deprivation of rights. U.S. Code 42, Section 12203, prohibition against interference and coercion under ADA. 3, status of front door and illegal detention. My front door has remained continually closed and locked since January 2nd, 2025, per explicit FBI instructions. The sole exception was the forced entry on January 29th, 2025, perpetrated by my disabled sons under the direction of this criminal conspiracy, following 19 days of constant planning, discussions within Unit 207, and numerous rejected police reports regarding it 2 hours prior to the crimes and even an hour after the criminal act, and one other 12 hours earlier 3 total on January 29th. The FBI has instructed me to keep my door closed until the perpetrators are apprehended or until they attempt another illegal entry. As of today, February 14th, 2025, I have been illegally detained within my own residence for over 190 days since August 6, 2024. The door will remain closed regardless of any attempts by the North Everett Precinct, UNIT207, or their co-conspirators to force entry, whether through physical means, fraudulent court orders, or the continued illegal termination of my YouTube live streams or deactivation of my channel. These actions are intended to prevent their further criminal actions, which include but are not limited to breaking and entering, unlawful arrest / committal / kidnapping, and their stated plans to illegally search, seize, and plant / tamper with evidence. 4, clarification regarding detention and restrictions. Have spent 1 hour 5 feet away from my living room in December. There was one exception in late December 2024. On that single occasion, I briefly entered the living room of my immediate neighbor's apartment, with whom I share a northern wall, and which is less than 5 feet from my own living room. This visit was conducted while my live stream was running. This brief visit does not alter the fact of my ongoing illegal detention. Furthermore, due to the actions of this criminal conspiracy, I have been unable to access my mailbox, take out garbage, or dispose of recycling since August. 5, no immunity, domestic terrorism clarification. The actions of the North Everett Precinct, UNIT207, and their co-conspirators, individually and collectively, are not part of any legitimate law enforcement operation. These actions were never part of any legitimate operation. They constitute a premeditated, ongoing, and aggravated criminal conspiracy and a domestic terrorist organization. 6, financial penalties updated. All previously invoiced financial penalties remain in effect and are curing daily. These include, but are not limited to, $100,000 per day for illegal detention, now over 190 days. $10 million per illegal entry attempt, increased to $25 million if asleep, plus multipliers for fraudulent court orders and rejected police reports. $10 million per instance of live stream termination. $10 million for stalking. $10 million for harassment. $10 million per offense per day for all other crimes, including but not limited to civil rights violations and ADA violations. Additional penalties continue to accrue for the February 14th, 2025 crimes. I declare in a penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. Sincerely, Lynette Renee Hansen, aka Mystic Gwen, date February 14th, 2025, time 10:56 a.m. PST. Okay, it is now actually 4:50 a.m. Sunday, February 16th, 2025. Per the instructions of the FBI, I am going to end this live stream. A new live stream should initiate in 90 seconds or less, and I'm going to post this and pin it on my Facebook account, which I will orally talk about the process of as I've been instructed to every time I log into Facebook on the superseding live stream. Now, remember, if you're looking for the full story, you want more information, more evidence, you want to watch the video that used to be a podcast that UNIT207 has actively been attempting to destroy and has not allowed me to add the appropriate episodes that should be on there since December 14th too. And then did the same thing with the Twitter account created just for the podcast per the FBI's instructions. Well, anyway, for that, you're going to need to watch the other video that is also almost the same amount in length that covers a breadth, not all of it, but a substantial amount of need to know knowledge. And that video is just simply titled Mystic Gwen versus the North Everett Precinct of Fraudsters, the Stalker, Extortionists et al. Don't choose the one that says PT22 that was dated on February 8th, because that is everything you've just heard, plus the February 13th and 14th addendums are not incorporated in that part 2. They're only in this video. So per the FBI's instructions, I'm to end this. I'm to post it on Facebook. And then I may or may not post it on mysticgwen.com on that page designated to this domestic terrorist organization. So it is 4:51 a.m. PST, Sunday, February 16th. I'm ending this live stream, and a new live stream should commence in 90 seconds or less, unless the domestic terrorist organization decides to break in the immediate 90 seconds ahead, which I don't think they will.